What is going on, everybody? It is Matty here from Chill TCG. Today we're going to be looking at Inteleon VMAX decklist that was played and run by Marco Cifuentes at our most recent Chill Series tournament, the Chill Series number 9. Marco placed 4th out of 122 competitors last week at the Chill Series number 9. His decklist did very well, and I'm really interested to go over it with you guys today. One thing that I do want to point out is that the Chill Series number 9 this past Wednesday was won by Fernando Cifuentes, and he was playing an Eternatus VMAX decklist, a Poison variant. We've covered that decklist before a few times on the channel, so I'm not, inclined to really make a whole nother video about it, but I do want to give a big shout out to Fernando for winning the tournament, and if you guys are interested in that decklist, I will post a link to it down below in the description. With all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, now, getting right into this deck list here, there's probably not too much that really stands out to you guys. Inteleon VMAX is a list that saw quite a bit of play after rotation hit. Everyone thought that it was going to be a very good deck list, and then kind of declined in play as we saw more Pikarom see more and more play. But recently it's been doing really well, and Marcos did place top 4 in the tournament, which had over 20 Pikarom players in that tournament. So, it definitely proved that this deck list is very good. It can be very consistent. And Marco even beat a few Pikaroms throughout the Swiss rounds, and even, I think, maybe even throughout Top Cut. So, this deck list is looking really good. If we just take a look here, you'll probably, right off the bat notice that this deck is focused a lot around that energy denial, as well as sort of energy removal, right? So we have 4 Crushing Hammers and 2 Team Yell Grunts. Of course, a big staple in this deck. Energy removal and denial has been really good and really consistent right now in the format, especially against things like Eternatus VMAX and ADP, but it can even be really good against Pikarom and honestly really any other deck right now in the format. This deck specifically, of course, it's going to be running that Frosmoth engine, and I think that's one benefit that it has over some of the other decks right now. A consistent energy acceleration engine is always good to have in this deck list, and Inteleon VMAX's attack does take 3 energy, so we're going to want a consistent way to get those energies onto our Inteleon VMAX, and do it as quickly as possible, right? Not only just consistent, but also, at a good pace. If we, taking a look at the Pokemon count here, though, so we've got 2 Crobats, we have 1 Dedenne, we have 4 Inteleon V, and then 3 Inteleon VMAX, so, definitely a pretty solid lineup. We have 1 Keldeo-GX, we have 3 Snom and 2 Frosmoth, so consistency is going to be really key in this deck. Of course, you want to get those Inteleon VMAXs out. That's sort of going to be your main attacker, right, in this deck. The 4 Inteleon V and the 3 Inteleon VMAX is pretty consistent. I think some people might run a 4-4, some people might run a 3-3 lineup, but I think 4-3 is pretty much an accepted kind of average, right, in a deck that's based around VMAXs. You're probably not going to be using more than 2, and at the most 3 Inteleon VMAXs in any sort of game that you're going to be playing against. So I think having 3 is, it makes total sense. There's no real need to put a 4th one in there for consistency purposes, especially when you're going to want to open up that slot in your deck for some of these other cards that we have included in this list. The 3 Snom, 2 Frosmoth, of course, you don't really need more than 1 Frosmoth on the bench at one time, but it can get kind of killed early game, can get sniped, especially against other decks that are focused around damage spread. Snom does not have a lot of HP, so you're going to want some backups, right, and getting that Frosmoth on your bench is really important to set up the energies on your Inteleons. I think the 2 Crobat, 1 Dedenne, you could do 1 Crobat, 2 Dedenne, but this deck, already has a lot of discarding between the Quick Balls and the 4 Professor's Research that we see in the deck. So I think that the 2 Crobat is smart, especially since you have a lot of item cards and a lot of Pokemon that are really crucial in this deck. You don't really want to be discarding them just to sort of accelerate your draw engine, right, throughout the game. 1 Keldeo-GX. Now, Keldeo-GX is going to be very important. Keldeo-GX has this ability, so prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's GX or EX Pokemon. This can be really good against those ADPs, those Pikaroms, as well as the the Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX Pokemon. Those are 3 really common, 3 very common GX Tag Team Pokemon right now in the format. And having an immunity to those attackers is definitely a really good inclusion into this deck and can really win you some games, given the right circumstances. If you're not familiar with Inteleon VMAX, we'll take a look at it right now. So it's got 320 HP, pretty consistent, pretty standard in terms of VMAX Pokemon, but very good nonetheless. And we play this mainly, that first attack can actually be pretty good as well, considering that the the deck is based around energy removal. So Hydro Snipe, 60 damage. You put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon back into their hand. Can be really good to like hit him with a hammer, hit him with a Yell Grunt, and then also hit him with a Hydro Snipe in one turn. Kind of get rid of 3 energies in one turn, and prepare to get a knockout in the next turn. Can be very powerful and a very good toolkit, a very good tool attack, right, to use in this deck. But the main attack for Inteleon VMAX is that second one, Max Bullet. For 2 water and a colorless, you do 160 damage, but you also do 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Can be really good. Damage spread is a really good, effect. It's a really good sort of strategy right now in the format. That 160 is a really sweet spot number too, so it's two-shotting the majority, pretty much almost all Pokemon right now in the format. I'm excluding a few VMAXs, but when it comes to things like Centiskorch VMAX, you're actually one-shotting it, right, doing that double damage. So 160 is a pretty good number in this deck for sure, and also, doing that damage spread can be really good. So like you pop, maybe like a Crobat or a Dedenne or even like a Zacian, anything really that's within that range on their opponent's bench after you attack the active. You do 60 damage to that Pokemon, and then you just go ahead, Boss's Orders that Pokemon into the active, and then finish it off with that 160. It comes out to be 220 damage, which is a very good number right now. Can knock out pretty much any 2-prize Pokemon right now in the format. So that can be a really good option to get those, that consistent prize card, those consistent prize cards throughout the game. So Inteleon VMAX, it's a very impressive attacker and honestly a really good deck. But when you pair it up with some of the other cards, the other tools that are in this deck list, it definitely proves to be a very consistent and a very, annoying to deal with deck list. If we take a look, though, everyone knows Frosmoth. We play for the ability as often as you like during your turn. You can attach a water and energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. So if you just, if you use Capacious Bucket, works really well. You get those water energies from your deck into your hand, and then you use Frosmoth to put those on your Inteleons. Can be a really good combo, and that's really the bread and butter of this deck. We run 4 Crushing Hammers because, of course, we saw that attack from Inteleon VMAX, which puts the energy from your opponent's active Pokemon back into their hand. Crushing Hammers, it's played almost everywhere right now in the format. Flip a coin, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And then we also play 2 Yell Grunts as well, so energy denial and removal is a very good strategy right now in the format, and is something that Inteleon excels with, right? So that's a main strategy right now. We are running 1 Great Catcher to go along with the 3 Boss's Orders. Can be very consistent, and very much a guaranteed gusting option. You can only play 1 supporter, right, per turn, of course, right? So if you don't have Boss's Orders in hand or Great Catcher, then maybe you can end your turn with like a Research or like a Dedenne and a Research, and then hope to just draw into Great Catcher, right, which you can use even after you played a supporter. So having 1 of those in your deck, I think, is really good, along with the 3 Boss's Orders. In terms of Pokemon search, we're running a wide variety of Pokemon. Some of them are, they're evolved Pokemon. They're like stage 1s. VMAX Pokemon technically aren't stage 1s, I guess, but the Frosmoth and the Inteleon, you have to evolve into them. So running 4 Pokemon Communications on top of 4 Quick Balls is definitely a really good way to get all the Pokemon that you'll need in this deck pretty consistently, and I think that's definitely a really good option. 1 Reset Stamp. I think at least putting at least one Reset Stamp in any deck that you're playing right now is a good idea, especially in the late game. It can really make the difference when it comes to really giving you the edge in that late game for some of that comeback potential. Especially with a deck like this that's focused around disruption, having all of that energy denial, having the Reset Stamp in there, as well as like Tool Scrapper to get rid of your opponent's item cards. Those big charms can be pretty pesky. Krolos, hit me up. But the Tool Scrapper can be pretty pesky, right? So it can get rid of some of those item cards that like Big Charm that can get your opponent's Pokemon out of that 2-hit knockout range, or also really any other item card that could be disruptive towards you. In particular, Tool Scrapper is just going to be really good in a lot of scenarios. We run 2 training courts for our stadiums. I suppose we could be running things like Chaotic Swell, I guess, for more disruption, but training court works really well with this deck in particular. So once during each player's turn, that player may put a basic energy card from their discard pile into their hand. Now this is it's certainly very, very good. Now this works really well with this deck in particular, right? Because you're discarding a good amount of cards from your deck throughout the game. And if your Inteleon gets knocked out, whatever it might be, you're able to just grab at least 1 energy every turn from your discard pile. Makes it a little bit more consistent, right? Pairs up well with that Frosmoth. and just sort of facilitates your energy acceleration really well. 3 Boss's Orders, again, makes total sense. Boss's Orders is a staple, should be in every deck. I think a 3 count is pretty good. We got 4 Marnies and 4 Research. I think that this deck, of course, is very disruptive, so the 4 Marnies makes a lot of sense. But there's a lot of times where you really just want to discard your hand, and your opponent doesn't have a lot of cards in their hand either, so you don't want to Marnie them. That wouldn't be too smart. So 4 Research as well gives the deck a lot of consistency and lets you sort of move through your deck at a really good pace. 2 Yell Grunt, again, goes with the Crushing Hammers. Works really well. Just honestly a pretty good card to delay your opponent a few rounds while you set up. Since this deck is focused around 2-hit KOing Pokemon, buying yourself a round or 2 of not getting attacked is really important and can really make the difference in you winning some games. We run 3 Air Balloons actually, and that's mainly because Inteleon VMAX has a retreat cost of 2, so Air Balloon gives it free retreat, as well as the Keldeo. Really every Pokemon in your deck has a retreat cost of 2 or less, so Air Balloon is going to be very, very good, especially since Frosmoth, your Pokemon's going to have to be on the bench for Frosmoth to attach energy to it. And we're not actually running any switch cards in this deck, which means that there's no double switching happening in one turn. So attaching those Air Balloons to your Inteleons and to your Keldeo, whatever it might be, is going to be really important and really crucial when it comes to switching around your Pokemon when you need to. In terms of the energy count, we're running 8 water energy. I think that's pretty... I think that's a little bit conservative in terms of an energy lineup, but this deck, of course, is running 2 Training Courts. You're running Capacious Bucket, you have plenty of ways to get those energies back and plenty of ways to accelerate that energy, so I think 8 is more than enough. And we run one Weakness Guard energy, or at least Marco was running 1 Weakness Guard energy. I think, of course, this is good in a lot of matchups. It can be really clutch going against Pikarom, making it so you don't die in one hit from like a Raichu tag team, or like a Tag Bull GX, whatever it might be, or like a Boltund attack. I think that's going to be really important for sure. Anyway, that is the deck list, guys. We're going to get right into it. We're going to play a few games. I think Crollo Isaiah wants to play a few games so we can test out this deck list. But I hope you guys enjoyed looking at it. And I really suggest that you guys go play and try it out here in the next few tournaments, or just sort of online on the ladder. It seems to be really good. Marco has a lot of great things to say about this deck, and his placements in the last few tournaments, have clearly conveyed that it's a great deck list. So if you're looking for energy denial, if you're looking for a nice water deck, I think Inteleon VMAX is probably your best option right now. So yeah, let's get into a few games. All right, guys. So we had a little bit of a difficult time finding some good games here to include in the video. When I was looking for matches on the ladder, I ended up just either playing against like a bunch of Welder deck opponents who ended up scooping early in the game, or I ended up just getting bodied by Pikarom decks. Those seem to be the only 2 decks that I really found for such a long time, but I ended up finding a game here against 9 Mike Ripper 6, I believe, I think is his name. But he was playing an Eternatus VMAX deck list, Poison variant, which actually was the deck list that ended up winning our Trail Series tournament. We didn't end up winning this game, spoiler, but I thought it was a pretty close matchup. So I ended up including it in the video. I just didn't have much time to really keep playing for much longer to find really any kind of games that might be a better example for us. But if we take a look at it here, so I ended up kind of having a rough hand here. I started the game with Snom and 2 Inteleon VMAXs. The rest of my hand really wasn't great. While he got off to a pretty good start there, started with that Eternatus VMAX, got a Hoopa, Slowbro, and then 2 Crogunks right on the bench there early in the game. And I believe here he Pokecoms out and just he Pokecoms out a Crobat, and I think he might just find another Crobat, right, just so he can draw some extra cards here. But the start of the game was a little bit rough for me, but things kind of got a little bit better as time went on here. One thing that definitely is unfortunate, which probably could have changed the tide of this game here, are these hammers, these 2 hammers that I start off in my hand. The first one, of course, Tails. Second one, of course, Tails. So definitely not great. I decided not to attach that Air Balloon just yet because the Snom was definitely, there was a good chance that it was going to get knocked out. So I just sort of didn't really feel comfortable putting that Air Balloon onto it. He goes ahead and he evolves into that first Krogunk and the second Krogunk. Just happens to have both of them in hand, so not good for us at all. Eternatus VMAX only does 270 damage, but of course, with that poison damage from those 2 Toxicroaks is more than enough to one-hit KO us here after that poison damage, even as a 320 HP Inteleon VMAX. But I was right here, so he ends up just attaching to the Hoopa on the bench and free retreating out with that hiding energy. He ends up ending his turn, just sort of getting the KO here on this Snom, putting me in not a great position. This Snom I really would have liked to have, for the rest of the game, maybe to accelerate some energy at some point. I think one thing that I could have done is put the Air Balloon onto the Snom, put it onto the bench, and then just left the Inteleon in the active spot. But at that point, I wouldn't have been able to use the Frosmoth for that Inteleon. But anyway, he Marnies me out, which honestly was pretty good for me. We find a Frosmoth, which not too useful since our Snom just got knocked out, and another Inteleon V. So I go ahead and I Pokecom here, and I grab a Snom just because I think that it's going to be probably pretty important in this matchup. At least that's my assumption. I put the second Inteleon there onto the bench, and then I Marnie out, dropping his hand down to 4. So I do have this Inteleon VMAX in hand, and I do have 1 energy on. No additional hammers or anything. So at this point in the game, right, I'm just sort of hoping to manually attach and slowly, get my energy onto my Inteleon VMAX to make something happen here. I ended up discarding this water energy because we do run Training Court. So to me, it was like, well, I'll probably be able to just get that back later in the game. I grabbed the Crobat so I can draw 4 cards here. Don't find anything too useful, but I do find the Training Court. I decide to play it and just grab that water energy right at the start, in case he does play that Dark City and kind of remove the opportunity for me to do that. Now here's a good thing, a quick decision that I made here. So I decided not to put that energy back into his hand because I was hoping that he didn't have one in his hand already to attach to that Eternatus, but he did, which means that in retrospect, I probably should have put that energy back into his hand. But at the same time, I think that was probably the smart play, and his bench was full, so I was really just hoping that he didn't really have much in hand that could help him out. But he did have that second energy, which he attached to the Eternatus V, giving him that 2 energy that he needs. And then he has the Malolana in hand, which he's going to end up doing just to switch into that Crobat V, actually, and getting that early game poison off, which is really good because now, I'm in range for a max damage Eternatus VMAX. So definitely not a good position for me, and definitely, a pretty clutch hand for him there to have that Malolana. At this point, I know that I can put that third energy onto Inteleon VMAX, get some damage off. For me, I knew that I had the boss's orders in hand, and that Hoopa only had 60 HP left. So for me, I was kind of thinking, I can knock out that Hoopa, get some early damage onto this Eternatus V, do that 160 damage. If he does get if he does get to evolve into a VMAX next turn, then I still won't be able to get the 2-turn KO, the 2-hit KO. So that's kind of my hope, is that he won't be able to do that next turn. But again, it's kind of a long shot here. So we do draw a weakness card energy off of that prize card, which really isn't too much use for us. At least that Tool Scrapper is not going to be very useful at all. This deck doesn't really seem to be running too many tool cards. And he does just have that Crobat in hand, which is unfortunate. Draws some more cards, finds the Great Ball, and then finds the Eternatus VMAX. So definitely, again, really fortunate for him. Now he's going to be able to get the KO on this Inteleon VMAX, and he's going to put me in a pretty difficult position here, especially since he has the 2 Toxicroaks on the bench with the Galarian Slowbro, and another Eternatus V on the bench as well. So definitely in a pretty difficult position at this point in the game. But I do have that Snom, and I do have another Inteleon. So right now I'm kind of hoping that I might have the ability to evolve into both of these Pokemon, get that energy onto Inteleon, and get something rolling this turn. But we'll see what happens. I don't find a Frosmoth or any way to find an Inteleon VMAX, unfortunately. I do find a Stamp, so I'll drop him down to 2 cards. Better than nothing. I do find an Air Balloon so I can retreat out of that Crobat, and I do find that Training Court to use later this turn if I need to, right, to get those extra 2 energies onto that Inteleon VMAX. So I discard the Snom there because I have Dedenne in hand, but for me, I'm just looking to draw through my deck right now, find what I need. So I do find the Frosmoth and the Inteleon VMAX this turn, which is very good, but I do not have another energy. I can pull one out of my discard pile with the Training Court, but I do not have one in hand, and I missed the hammers there, which again I think was really crucial. That really could have helped me out next turn, but again, coin flips, right? You're never gonna get lucky, right? At least that's how it seems. So now I do find that energy, and I can Training Court for that energy in my discard pile, and I can put both of those onto Inteleon VMAX and retreat out into it. But again, we're in a pretty difficult position this turn because, if he has boss in hand or if he's able to get boss, then he wins. Or if he's able to do a double switch out and get that poison damage off, then I'm in a pretty tough position. So I put it on the Crobat because I do have boss in hand. So I think that my idea, right, is that I'm able to live this turn, then I can boss into that Crobat, finish off both the Eternatus VMAX and the Crobat, and get the win. But it looks like here, so he does have the Great Ball that he top decks, and he does find his third Crobat. Right now, I'm in a pretty tough position because I'm like, well, I hope he doesn't find boss or a way to double switch out. So he ends up drawing 5 new cards here, and as it turns out, as it always seems to turn out here, he does have the boss's orders in hand, and that's just going to be the game. So very unfortunate for sure. He definitely, I think, had a lot better luck than I did. Those Crushing Hammers could have been really important in that matchup. Again, not a great matchup, but I hope you guys, kind of get the ability to see how this deck can roll here. And if we got a little bit lucky, or if our opponent just sort of didn't get as lucky in that matchup, we wouldn't have been able to win, I think, pretty, at a pretty consistent rate. And Eternatus VMAX, the Poison variant, seems to be one of the more powerful decks right now in the entire format. So I think Inteleon VMAX has a lot of potential, but like I said, I wasn't able to find a lot of great games to play against and to put into this video. So I guess, what I'm saying is I hope that was enough for you guys. I hope you guys got a good little idea of how the deck runs. I apologize I couldn't really find a great game, but yeah, that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. So shout out to Marco for getting 4th in our Chill Series number 9 tournament with this Inteleon VMAX deck list. Definitely a better player than I am, I would say. And shout out to Fernando for winning the deck list with the kind of deck that we just lost against, actually, Eternatus VMAX Poison. So big shout out to both of them. Both really great players. Really glad to have them play in our tournament. Go play Inteleon VMAX if you think it's something that you might enjoy. And definitely go play in our Chill Series tournament coming tonight when I post this video. The Chill Series number 10, our last Chill Series of the season. So that's going to wrap it up, guys, for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know, comment down below what decks you would like to see in the next video. And then also comment below, all the things I could have done better in that game. But I'm going to sign off now, guys, so I'll see you next time.